Hello, how are you guys on a Friday afternoon? Um, I'm back. I'm back for another conversation. Um, and I thought I'd try to jump in here in the afternoon. But this conversation I want to have in this afternoon is about relationship. And one of the foundational principles, and I know I talk a lot about this in my other videos, is that we are interconnected and everything exists as oneness. We're all interconnected. There's only one of us here. And one of the foundations or principles of like how we then can move through this matrix or move through this life and be in cooperation with the universe is to understand that the foundation of everything is relationship. Everything exists in a relationship. Everything that we coexist with, we have a relationship with. I can't think of one thing that I am not in relationship with. And so I wanted to spend a little time today just talking about that foundation of what that relationship is and how the ego, which, you know, also has to exist in relationship, but its job is to inverse that relationship, to polarize to the negative side. So it becomes an inverse of it. And so when I think about what does it mean to be in relationship and what does it mean to be in loving relationship with the universe? And the words that I would use to describe the foundations of a great relationship would be that of giving and receiving. So if we think about love being a state of being in a forward movement, like to be in a state of love means to be moving forward, means to be expanding, means to be stepping in forward, which means you're then giving. You're in a giving mode. You're giving that energy out into the world. And when you're in a state of giving, not in the act of giving, giving isn't an action. Giving is a state of being that we want to achieve and think about as human beings. Is like, am I in a state in oneness with the universe to give all of myself to the universe, because that is loving. And so in that state, we are giving, we're expanding out. And when we're in that mode of giving, what we then get back is to receive back what we put out. So if you read the Course in Miracles, one of the lines that they say is that only what you are not giving can be lacking in any situation. So if our state of beingness is to be one of love, and love is a forward movement, if we're then giving love, we're then able to receive love back. And so the foundational truth of our universe is that we're to be in states of giving and receiving. So when we talk about creating essentially our own reality, there's a principle called so as within, so without. That's part of the Hermetic principles. And that again is just reinforcing again in another way that relationship of giving and receiving. What I am giving, that's what I'm going to receive back. And so if we think about then that's the divine state of relationship, of giving and receiving, of complete service, of non-attachment. And when you think about, what we start with in order to be in right relationship with everything, it begins with the essence within ourselves. So if I want to, let's say, have the outward like accumulation of money, what the inner state has to be in order to receive that money is I have to be in an inner state of complete abundance. And so what we want to start with when we think of like, how do we get into the state of giving and receiving and being in that right relationship and being in our heart's consciousness living, we want to be in right relationship with the essence of the energy of what we're looking to receive. So if we want to receive love, let's say in a romantic relationship, maybe in a friendship, whatever it might be, the first question you have to like look at is, am I in loving relationship with that essence that which I desire? And if we are chasing the external, which would be the substantive form of it, but we're not in right relationship with the essence, we're going to constantly be chasing. We're going to feel like we're on that hamster wheel. And so our first state is to come into that relationship with ourselves in the essence of who we truly are. And so there's many principles we can dive into in that when it comes to the I am discourses and the I am principles, but knowing that there's that state of being of I am, and then whatever that is, but to know that that is you. And so the other aspects of this is when we think about the ego, is it actually is the complete actual inverse. And actually, I'll go back 1 second here and talk about like how Mother Nature, like when we look at Mother Nature, it is the perfect example of the relationship of giving and receiving. And so when we think of Mother Nature, she accepts all of God's creatures. Doesn't matter from the small tiny bug to the mighty elephant in Africa, whatever that is, they're all accepted with equal acceptance in the universe. And that there's that openness for all of them to coexist as one. And then there's the other element is that it's also in a state of giving and receiving because it also allows for the natural cycles of predator and prey. So let's say you're a hawk and you need to eat the field mice. You know, everything exists in perfect harmony of giving and receiving. The Mother Nature is giving, the animals are receiving, and it keeps getting reciprocated in perfect harmony. And so that's just a prime example of how we are innately already set up to be like that. And can we follow that? And so our ego on the flip side it actually inverses the relationship that we have and flips it around. So instead of being in the energy of giving and receiving, it's in the energy of taking and keeping, or taking and withholding. So the ego inverts the true function of the relationship. And when it does it, it's negatively using your own energy against you. So the ego is looking to, in other words you could use, are using and withholding. Like if you're withholding something, that's your ego, because our natural state is to expand out and not to constrict. So if it's like, I'm not willing to share something with you, maybe something I've learned, and I want to keep that to myself because that'll keep me maybe in a, my ego thinking, well, I know more than them, so I'll just keep that to myself. No, the whole goal is to expand out and share. And so it's like when you start to understand these really subtle dynamics of how the ego works, and the foundation of relationship is how we're organized on this planet to operate, to be in harmony with the oneness, with God's principle of natural law, and in unity consciousness with each other. Well, then you can see when your ego wants to take over and going, am I contracting? Am I trying to keep or withhold something from somebody? And if you can answer the question yes, then you know that your ego is the one that's in charge. And so a lot of times, and we do this even naturally eternal, like within ourselves. So if we even think about our bodies, like what are we withholding from our bodies, or what are we using in our bodies to keep us out of a state of interconnectedness and oneness and in alignment with natural law? And like if we're using something, we're taking away something that isn't supposed to naturally exist there. So we're not existing in harmony with the universe. And so the ego, as they say, speaks first and the ego speaks loudest. But it says in the Course in Miracles, it's our own energy working against us. And so the journey that we're on, and I was just talking to a friend about this, is really it's simple and complex. And I talk a lot about this because we live in a paradox. It's a paradoxical universe. It's simple, yet it's complex. And the simplicity is we're here to just build awareness. So even if I can go, am I withholding something from this situation? Am I withholding my love? Am I withholding X, Y, or Z, whatever that might be? Or am I giving? Am I in a state of expanding out and moving forward of whatever that energy is? And so just being aware is enough action to move forward into a state of more awareness, as we actualize ourselves and move forward on this plane and learn every day. It's just about building awareness. What's my state of which I'm acting from? And from that state, then knowing that, that's when we can requalify and go, actually, I'm not giving. And there's an opportunity for me to shift back into that state of giving and receiving. And so awareness, like just being aware, awareness of what's going on, asking yourself those questions, that's enough to requalify your ego and bring you back into heart-based consciousness. And so we're here to remember who we are, which when we talked about, like, we're here to be pure divine Christ consciousness. We are here to be love. We are here to serve God and serve the greater whole through our heart-based consciousness of co-creating with the universe to serve humanity. And so if we remember who we are and we're aware when we're not in alignment, and when we hear those things and notice, like, well, why does this feel out of alignment? Again, our body is our GPS system. When you feel that negative constriction, that's your body's way of alerting you to, there's something not in alignment here. And this is your opportunity to realign it and come back into balance with yourself, but with the universe as well. And so just practice, like, when you think about what you're doing, is this loving? Is this giving? Am I expanding out? Am I being in service of others? Am I giving because what I give is what I'm going to receive? Or am I keeping and withholding? Or am I using or keeping, energy within me? And if that's the case, then we know that's our ego, and there's that opportunity to requalify that and go, you know what, why can't I expand into the place of love? And typically it's because we need to do the inner work of really loving ourselves. Because if I think I need to keep and withhold, let's say, love, it's probably because I don't feel like I have enough love to give out. So I better keep it constricted to myself. And so I will just continue to come in here so that we can engage in how we work through our own enlightenment, our own awakening, our own transcendence, our own actualization. Because when we do that work and we do it with ourselves, there's no magic one pill. There's no one thing that you're going to do. It's going to be a combination of a lot of things, as well as it's going to be a daily, moment by moment practice, because that's the work that we signed up for when we came in here as humans, is to remember who we are. and to remember that divine state of love that we came here to be, and to unlearn or unremember all the things that are not that. And so my goal here is to continue to engage you guys in a conversation. I want to build an incredible community, because when we all do the inner work, that's when we create positive change out into the universe. And so if you have comments, questions, please share. And I would love any likes, comments, subscribes, and, just continue to engage in this conversation with me, because this is the real work that's ahead on this planet. So I hope you guys all have an incredible Friday afternoon, and I wish you all the love and light and an incredible weekend.